Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. This week, we talk about the 5 biggest challenges to new POD sellers that they have to overcome. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast, your go-to source for entertainment, tomfoolery, shenanigans, waffles, and the occasional educational information when it comes to the print on demand industry. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, or as we like to say here, the old nitty gritty.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Do me a favor, whatever you're listening to this on, whatever platform, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, whatever it is, do us a favor, share the show, Facebook it, text it, X it, or tweet it, or Twex it, or Twix it. I don't know. Any of those things on social media platforms, do that. But also subscribe, leave us a review. It's very, very advantageous for us, helpful for us, and we're super, super thankful for all of you helping us get the word out. And as always, I am joined on this episode by Travis Ross. Travis, how's it going, man? Happy Halloween as we record.
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday, the
It is
31st.
Halloween.
So, yeah, Halloween edition, only because we're recording on Halloween, coming to the listeners. But how's your week, man? I feel like, well, I've been out of the country for a handful of days, but how's things been going? And like, how's things over there at Make Your Mark Design?
Yeah, I guess as good as you can expect. I did have a little bit of a down day yesterday because I kind of pulled my back, and I don't know, longtime listeners might remember I did it a while back. Happens like once a year. It's just a recurring thing, and really nothing I can do about it. And so I was a little down yesterday, just kind of like I'd sit at my desk and then I'd have to lay down, and I'm still in a little bit of discomfort, but not enough to miss recording an episode with you and the Print on Demand cast metaverse.
Yeah, that's right. It's good to be with everybody. Last week, again, I was away gallivanting in Sweden, which was an interesting experience. Maybe in another time when I have more time on at least on air. Behind the curtain, I'll tell you later. But shrimp sandwiches, not fun. That's all I'll say. It's a Swedish delicacy. We were treated to it, kind of forced upon us. Thankfully, I ate that after I rode 7 roller coasters and not before. So that was at least the silver lining, because it was gross. But good to be back. Jet lag is completely worn off and back into the normal rhythm of things. So, we haven't done this in a while. Usually we try to weave in dad jokes in the fabric of the show and kind of surprise people with it. But this week we decided, you know what? We're just gonna, I think it's because we missed the bumper subconsciously. We haven't played it in a long time. So we're gonna go officially this week's segment, the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right. So Travis and I both have one available, ready to go, since it is the Halloween. So Travis, go ahead, kick us off here with your dad joke of this week.
What do monsters like to watch movies on?
What do monsters like to watch movies on? I don't know.
Widescreen TVs.
All right. Okay. All right. So why do ghosts go on diets?
I do not know.
They gotta keep their ghoulish figure. All right, there you go, folks. I mean, by the time you guys are listening to this, it will be November 1st. Some crazy how November is here, but you can save those for next Halloween, or add to the groan-inducing factor of it by telling a Halloween joke the day after. Let us know how it goes. And we'll be waiting with bated breath. You can let us know when you give us a review. And speaking of reviews, we'll just hit this as well right off of the top. But we have it. We actually have a new 5-star review. It came in last month, but we want to share it because we said if you post a review, we'll shout it out on the show. And we actually did. I think we shouted this person out a couple times on the show. But you've got For Real 3D. on
Mhm.
9/12/23. Influencer marketing is the name of the review. It says, I found your POD cast while trying to learn more about POD. Imagine that. The name, it works. Love your content, guys. I had the absolute pleasure of speaking to Travis on the phone about this topic and learned so much. Thanks, guys. Keep this up. You are truly inspirational for those starting up. So thank you for Real 3D. And Travis, you referenced him when at like the week after he called. I think it was the week maybe after you came back from California, or one of those kind of weird interim weeks where one of us was traveling, or it was kind of all over the place there for a second. But all that
Yep.
to say, it's great to get that feedback, and thank you so much for the review being posted. So super helpful.
Yeah, if you guys wanna leave a review, we'll shout you out too. You can go to obviously, Apple Podcasts is the only
Yeah.
place you can do a written one. Spotify
Right.
allows you to do a star rating on the mobile.
Yep.
But yeah, if you would do a written one on Apple Podcast, we will certainly shout you out and really appreciate that. That's really cool. And yeah, we had a whole episode talking about kind of my conversation with him while I was on the road to
Yeah.
California.
Yep.
Um, but yes, thank you for that review, and keep them coming, guys. We appreciate the feedback, good or bad, but preferably good.
Absolutely. So with that, let's get into this week's point of interest.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the point of interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight because we got some learning to do.
All right, this week's point of interest, we're going to tell you 3 products that it's not too late to launch for Christmas. You've got, less than a month, really, I guess, or more than a month,
Hurry up.
maybe a little more, till Christmas gets here. But the season is upon you, so it's not too late to launch it now if you're thinking about it. So, the first one, Travis, wrapping paper. You wouldn't
Mhm.
think that wrapping paper would be something that you could launch, but tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that. Like, obviously it
Yeah.
should be customizable, but people are selling these for like $20 plus a roll. And if it's really unique, the design's cool.
Mhm.
My wife, my sister, they get unique wrapping paper because of the design or the
Right.
style, or it's vintage, or it's whatever. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I think that's the whole deal. It's like you got to be kind of you got to set yourself apart with something like this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's kind of new to the at least to the print on demand game. At least a lot of the kind of drop shippers and print on demand fulfillment companies haven't had it for very long. But this year, you can go on Etsy and you can just type in wrapping paper and you'll see a bunch of it. And it does look pretty cool. And if you have the ability to do kind of some customizable stuff, I think all of these products that we're going to talk about here um, could do very, very well because you are kind of the middleman. Um, you have to have some type of unique selling proposition. I think if it's not customizable, it's got to be a really sharp design
Right.
or whatever. But to that point, customizable or personalized wrapping paper could be pretty dang cool, and people will pay, $20 a roll,
Yeah.
$30 a roll. It just depends
Yeah.
on how big it is, how all that stuff. So, so yeah, check that out if that's of interest to you. The next one we got for you is stockings.
Stockings. Interesting.
Stockings.
Yes.
Everybody needs stockings, and I
Everybody.
think depending on which vendor you're using, you'll see different styles of these
Yeah.
stockings. The ones I was looking at specifically from Guten, I believe are 100% sublimated. So you can
Yeah.
go edge to edge on them. I think you can do a two-sided print. They're not super expensive. I've seen them for as little as 12 to 13 plus shipping from the vendor. So, I mean, a stocking has a little bit higher value or higher perceived value than I think that wrapping paper does. So,
Right, because
if
wrapping
you
paper, it's gonna get tore up and
it's gone.
thrown away,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
One cool idea about the stockings that, if you wanted to really jump into it, you could probably create a pretty dang cool, like, pet stocking
Mhm.
website or niche or
Yeah.
something like that, particularly with custom. I mean, obviously, you can get them for humans too, but again, people love their fur babies, and you can
You're
make a
not wrong.
lot of money on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can make if you're looking for pets. So this is something because my wife and I have 2 Shih Tzus, and
Mhm.
whenever she sees something that's Shih Tzu or relevant or something themed Shih Tzu, she's like, "We should get it because we love Shih Tzus." So you could start simply just a stocking that has a different breed of dog: Shih Tzus,
Mm.
poodles, standard poodles, cocker
Mhm.
spaniels. Because people they love that certain kind of dog and they'll get it. And then
Right.
if you offer a custom option as well for their specific pet, then you can
Yeah.
also charge more, and then it has an even higher perceived value because no other stocking has their dog on it. So,
Mhm.
um, another item you can do is ornaments. It's another one you can do customizable for baby's first Christmas, or again
Yep.
the pet's first Christmas, or as a
Our first
couple.
Christmas
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You're married couple, and all of that kind of stuff. So very customizable, various shapes and sizes, about $10 to $15 shipped. But again, higher perceived value because a lot of those things. I mean, I've my mom has ornaments that
Mhm.
are like, for lack of a better term, legacy items. They're heirlooms at this point. They've been on the tree
Right.
every year since I was 4. And you
Right.
get a new one every year. And my sister's kids have new ornaments every year, and it's always on the tree. And so again, you're kind of starting a tradition when someone purchases an ornament. So if you can get their business off the first one, give them a good product that's customizable, give them that option, they're going to be repeat customers. Because
Yeah.
oftentimes people like that for these kind of types of things are. So keep that in mind as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, there's another one I'm just as I'm sitting here, I'm seeing, and it's not part of our 3, so I won't spend much time on it, but, Newton actually offers a Christmas tree skirt, which,
Oh yeah, that's
I didn't realize
brilliant.
that. It's really cool. I mean, it's not cheap. I think it's pretty big. I can click into it real quick. It starts at 34.90, and they have a polyester fleece version and a
Yeah.
polyester faux linen version. But let's see, let's click into the product info. It's 44 inches round, so it's massive.
Oh my gosh.
But you could do, again, you could do a custom, like family name or something like that,
Yeah.
welcomes you to our house, welcome to our
Yeah.
house,
Yep.
that type of thing. And you could probably get some, actually sell a decent amount of these. The shipping's only $8. So you're looking at, 40, 45, $46 cost to you if you could sell these for 80 or $90 customized.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea either. So I just saw that and I just wanted to throw it in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's another great one. So, yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you have another one that we didn't maybe hit on, or have more questions about what you can do with any of these, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation about that. But for now, we're going to move into the main event of this week's episode: 5 biggest challenges that new POD sellers must overcome. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
In the beginning, if you're not watching on YouTube or on Spotify, in the beginning, there's the Ed Sullivan's face that's kind of,
Mhm.
superimposed or whatever. And when he was introducing the Beatles, and the only reason to bring this up is because this total tangent, and we'll not spend much time on it, but there's a new Beatles song coming out. The
I
last
did hear
one with
about that.
all 4
Mhm.
actual Beatles, thanks to Peter Jackson and AI. Isn't that not nuts?
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely
Have you heard it
ridiculous.
yet? I think I got, like,
I
an
don't know if it's
email.
released yet. Is it released?
Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe I just said
'Cause
they just said, "Hey, you can buy it," or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It'd be the last time that all for AI didn't recreate any vocals. The vocals were recordings
Mhm.
were there, but it's been
Yeah.
restored and kind of helped brought back to life as far as John Lennon and George Harrison's work.
And
Anyway,
and
it's crazy.
well, I don't wanna brush over the fact that John Lennon did win our most famous John
He did.
of an episode a few episodes ago. So,
He did.
I
Yeah.
think we owe
So
it to him to continue to listen to his music and his
oh
legacy will
yeah.
live on.
Oh yeah, we'll listen to it. We'll let you guys know what we think about it. And point of interest has nothing to do with the industry, but at this point, you guys love us. You know what to expect, so I want to hear it. Okay, it was really fun doing the famous John, and
It
we'll
was.
maybe do it again sometime. If anything else, for our own pleasure. So, anyway,
Alrighty then.
here we go. The 5 biggest challenges. We'll start with number 5. We'll count down. from
Okay.
5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. So number 5, determining a business strategy for print on demand. So what do we mean by that? Well, we've talked in the past that you can do kind of one of two things. You can
Mhm.
do a brand, which is more, launching your own website and kind of carefully curating the designs and curating the quality and maybe doing more custom tags and kind of keeping everything in line in a certain aesthetic for a brand that you're wanting to achieve, whether that's a fashion forward brand or a outdoor brand or whatever that looks like, but it's really
Mhm.
tailored, the presentation is really well thought out and curated. Or
Mhm.
you can do channels, which is the Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, all of those other types of big channels, and just sell product on it. You can maybe do both, but to start
Mhm.
out, maybe one way or the other, in terms of choosing which kind of approach you want to take to it.
Yeah, I think the challenge that you have to overcome is the decision, just to which direction you're gonna go, and, in order to make a decision, you know the pros and cons. So,
Yeah,
pros and cons of a brand are brands are theoretically infinitely scalable. You can get a
yeah,
big brand. You just have to put in a lot of work.
yep,
On the channel side, it's maybe not as scalable, but you're going to get sales a lot quicker, and it'll be less out of pocket cost to you because you won't have to pay to drive traffic to your channel.
sure,
So there's pros and cons to both, and like I like the idea of potentially doing both. As a matter of fact, I was today working on the Shopify site that I've been telling you guys, we're going to launch somewhat. It's kind of around the political season. I was trying to maybe get it up for
yeah,
Christmas. So we're starting to mess with that. We've got all the designs ready. Now we're just, finishing out the mock-ups and pushing it out onto Shopify for those products. And I would say that is somewhat of a brand.
yeah,
I'm going to have to drive traffic to it. I'm hoping that seasonality will play a part in having people click and having a higher conversion rate, as
right,
well as the subject matter. It's that's why we're doing it in 2020, 2023, 24, because we did it in 2020 because it's got that political
yeah,
bent, so it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, you just have to have those pros and cons and, make a list, decide, I mean, maybe you already have a passion for, I think I used it on another podcast, but like bicycling, and you're really good at
yeah,
bicycling, and and you own all those, uh, cut and sew, sublimated jerseys, that they all wear and when they're riding their little 10 speeds up in Boulder. And,
hogging the
and you know all
road.
about that. Yeah. And you know all about it, and you know all the gear that they need and all the things that they talk about. And so you can make funny puns that, or what, you don't even have to be, they don't have to be funny,
Yeah,
just whatever. You understand that
the
lingo, that
subculture. Yeah,
subculture. So maybe that's something you'd want to do. And you might have some connections with people in that culture, that subculture, that would potentially buy from you, or that could at least give you feedback and help you along your journey, as opposed to just picking something randomly and going, I think this will be my brand. That's probably not the best way. You probably need to know something about that specific niche that you're going to target,
yeah.
or just start with a channel and see which one kind of rises to the top, which one you enjoy the most, and then do a brand around that particular niche.
Right. And so that leads to number 4 is kind of like once you kind of make that decision, what are you going to sell? Like what products are you going to actually
Exactly.
create and what designs are you going to sell? I was talking to someone actually, that attends, the church that I go to, and it was in between one of the services, and he was just like, "Hey man, I have a question." He was kind of chatting with me, and he was like, "Man,
Hmm.
I've got like 30 designs and I can't decide. Like, do I launch all 30 on like 5 products a piece or do I like?" So I was just like a very quick conversation. He was trying to decide what products do I sell? What designs do I
Hmm.
sell? How do I do
Right.
this? I don't know. He has his niche, he has his customer who he knows he's selling to, but
Yeah.
his roadblock at the moment is I don't even know what to list. How much do I list? Should I? Like,
Hmm.
so though that can definitely be a roadblock when you are considering or when you're just getting started in the kind of process.
Hmm. Yeah, I think deciding what to sell, obviously starting with your customer, it sounds like that guy did, is always going to be a wise
Yeah.
decision because then you understand all of your marketing material, all of your product descriptions, all of your titles, everything can kind of be focused on that type of person and you can put yourself in their shoes and kind of receive the marketing material
Yeah.
like them and see if that's going to move the needle, I guess. If it
Right.
moves the needle for you, then hopefully it'll move the needle for your customer. And then from there, um, yeah, I mean, does the world need another t-shirt shop? Well, maybe not just a t-shirt shop. What are you bringing to the table beyond that? And
Yeah.
that's just kind of that brand awareness, and he is. What kind of t-shirt is it? Streetwear? Is it fitness wear? Is it mom wear? For
Right.
is it targeting moms or targeting dads with dad bobs or dad bods? There's a lot of decisions, but deciding what to sell is definitely an obstacle or
Yeah.
a challenge that you have to kind of come up with. I mean, I think probably most stores are gonna do some type of apparel, but what can you pair that with? How can you get your average cart value up?
Right.
Um, all of those decisions can play a part, or all of those, kind of questions can play a part in, growing your print on demand, channel or your own site or whichever
Yeah.
decision you made on number 5.
Right. Right. Exactly. So moving on to number, let's see, 3 in the countdown, finding a reliable vendor. Now we talk about this a lot. We've talked about this a lot in the past in the show.
Mhm.
But you can always, here's the thing, you're not married to a particular vendor. You can always change
Right.
midstream, right?
Totally.
But you want to find someone to at least get you started. We have plenty to choose from. Printondemandcast.com/resources as where you can find some vendors that can help you. But you want to be able to find a reliable vendor that can also help you with the number 4 problem that we referenced as to like what to sell. Find
Right.
someone with looking at their catalog, seeing what you have available to you. It might kind of jumpstart an idea or give you an idea of where you can start depending on their catalog. And we've talked in the past in terms of finding a reliable vendor. Part of that is understanding their shipping process, how long it takes them to get stuff out, getting samples in your hand of products that
Yeah.
you are going to sell. Because, and I've referenced this before, but the end user, your customer, doesn't know that your vendor exists and doesn't care.
Mhm.
If they have
Right.
a problem with the product, it's all one and the same. They're not gonna accept you passing the buck to somebody else. You need to know and really court these the vendors as you get to know them more. Ask more
Mhm.
questions, ask the right questions, and you'll find out what those things are as you kind of continue. Because whatever's best for your business model or best for what you're doing, you'll know what questions to ask. But again, don't let this be a paralysis moment. There's plenty to choose
Mhm.
from. Start there with
Yeah.
start that relationship, get it working, and you can always refine or again, just kind of change horses mid race depending on how things go.
Yeah, and I think that, the whole idea of maybe having to change in the middle 'cause, I've used multiple vendors from, Printify to Printful to Guten to, others to Maker
Yeah.
Mark Design to
Yep.
other private companies. I mean, I and I've kind of landed where I've landed, but the ability to pivot like that really, um, moves us to our next, our number 2, big challenge. Treat this like a business from the beginning, and
Yeah.
what that means, and you've heard me say it a million times, is be organized, because if you do have to change in your vendor in midstream, um, you're gonna want to have all of your data, all of your print files, all of your
Right.
designs, all of your titles, descriptions, all of that stuff somewhat organized, so you can, easily pivot from one print provider to another one if you
Yeah.
find an issue with your quality. I always say, build for where you wanna be, not for where you are now. And that
Yeah.
really has been my mantra in business, and I think it has paid off for me, and I think, other people who would also attest to that. You don't build for where you're at now, you build systems, you build strategy for where you
Right.
want to be. And we have a we reference episode 10 all the time on organization, organizing your SKUs and designs. I think we did a
Yep.
rebroadcast where I might have, I don't know, put a little bit of extra on there, but
Yeah.
when you were gone or something. But that's a great episode just to understand kind of one way to do it. I actually was talking to somebody and put together a little anatomy of a SKU, at least the way we
Yeah.
do it, little diagram. Maybe I'll share that,
Yeah.
in the Facebook group or something like that. But
Or they can
that's really
subscribe.
important.
Maybe you just put it
Oh,
as a part of the newsletter.
ding,
And
ding, ding,
you have
ding.
to subscribe, printondemandcast.com, subscribe to the weekly newsletter, and maybe in the coming weeks, Travis will drop that little tidbit if you're looking for a way to organize your SKUs. Because to Travis's point, I can completely attest that you need to treat it like a business from the beginning and plan
Yeah.
for growth. My analogy was always when during What For Apparel, because this is one of the things that, depending on who you talk to, uh, led to some of the scenarios that led to What For Apparel kind of closing. And so my analogy was always, taking it back to Noah, the story of Noah and the flood. If Noah waited to build the boat when he felt a raindrop, then he would have drowned and never got a chance to actually build the boat. So if you are wanting to anticipate something, you need to also then be forward thinking and build what you need to build for when that influx of orders, or the influx of things that are going to make you pivot ideas or go to different vendors, whatever that flood looks like. You have to have a boat built. So
Right.
start working on the boat, even if there's no
Yeah,
rain, and get
totally.
things going so that you can kind of forecast what that looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, treating it like a business, obviously, we talk about organizing your SKUs and your designs and
Yeah.
all that stuff, but there's also just kind of the back office stuff. Like,
Yep.
do you have a business checking account? Well, if not, go get one. And
Yeah.
what do you need to do to get a business checking account? Well, you have to first register your business with the state. Have you done
Yep.
that? Well, go do that, because
Yeah.
those are important steps, that'll allow you to separate your business from your personal accounts and all of that. And people may say it's not super important to do that, but when you're filing if you do happen to have a winner and you're filing taxes at the end of the year, it's a lot easier to have your bookkeeping
Yeah.
separate in one checking account and all of your transactions with that, and maybe a credit card that's tied to that business and all of that, as
Yeah.
opposed to having to intermingle and figure it all out inside of your personal checking account. That's just
Yeah. That's
a
not fun.
recipe for it's a bad recipe.
Yeah, and you guys can listen to back in the archives, Printed on Mancast 92, the episode 92. It was the start of our POD 101 series that we did.
Okay.
It was about 4 or
Yep.
5 episodes long. And then we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of registering with the state and LLCs and all of the stuff that makes you want to cry. But you have to know it. All the
Yep.
stuff that evokes long-term damage.
Emotional damage.
But you got to know. You got to do that. So, and
Yep.
and discipline is part of this, like using things like Trello or MS Planner or Airtable or Monday.com or anything to
Yep.
kind of help keep track of things that need to be done and having the discipline to use them. I am notorious for starting these types of softwares and then never actually
Right.
using them, which is horrific. Basecamp is another one I think that you can use to kind of help
Mhm.
store files and track tasks and all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So like it's
And you don't
just
have to spend a lot of money on it. I mean, Trello's free. I
yeah.
mean, and you know what else is not free, but it's pretty dang free, or sticky notes. Make a list.
Yeah.
What are the things you want to get done? If you want to get kind of into the nitty gritty, have kind of a big thing on your list that you're going to do, and do it first.
Yeah.
And then have if I have time today, one more thing
Right.
to do at the end
Right.
of the day. And if you don't, that can become your big thing for the next day. But plan your day out, make sure do the hard thing first. Brian Tracy wrote a book called Eat the Frog.
Yeah.
I've referenced it before on the podcast. And basically it's just like, do the thing that is the least attractive to you, and it
Yeah.
will fuel you for the rest of the day because you got that big monster off your back. You don't have to think about it. It's not taking up brain power. And then you can move on to the other things. And then lastly, just figure out what are the profitable actions versus the busy
Right.
work. It's
Right.
easy to answer emails. It's easy to, kind of check your sales and, do all of those things. It's easy to check out on your designers and all that stuff. Put that stuff into a schedule of sorts and only
Yeah.
check your email at certain times because that's just going to get you off track. What are the profitable actions that you can take right now? Can you create another listing right now? Well, then do it. That's
Yeah.
what you should be doing.
Yep.
Is that going to be a profitable action for you? Then do it. If it's not, if it's just busy work, then set times for that because it is work and it does have to get done. But like maybe from 4 to 5, you do the busy work,
Yeah.
and the rest of the day you're doing profitable actions. But you get the idea. Treat it like a business and it'll treat you like a business owner. I
Owner.
don't know.
that thing. The
That
other thing
analogy fell apart.
yeah. The other thing you can do is, once you find out the things that are kind of busy work, the things that are repetitive, they do all the time, you can look into virtual assistants.
Right.
Episode 17 in the archives, utilizing virtual assistants. They're very inexpensive for us, for you, and the virtual assistants make a great living doing it. And there's so many amazing skilled VAs out there that eventually, as things going and as you can afford, as budget allows, you can start to offload some of those super repetitive things to the VAs that then allow you to, with peace of mind, do the profitable things without knowing that you still have to do the repetitive stuff. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you go about it, is VAs are always a very viable option as well.
100%.
So number 1, here we go. New POD sellers must overcome is getting started, taking action.
As Nike once said.
Yeah, that one time, and it made so much money for them. So no, but seriously, if you don't start, then nothing happens.
So you get nothing.
So get off the couch. That's the thing.
Right.
When I share advice with folks, and Travis and I talk to people, this podcast is a great example, or when we meet people in person. Sometimes people ask, like, well, why would you be willing to share this like information? I don't understand why you guys are just kind of giving away the farm and not just in this aspect or this kind of context, but in life. I think some people are really protective of the secret sauce of success and the whatever. But honestly, the secret sauce of success is just doing something.
Right.
This information is fantastic unless, but it won't do you any actual good unless you implement it. So, and unfortunately, the number of people who don't do anything with it that number is very high. So don't be one of those people. What's it going to take to get you to start? I mean, how are you going to get that motivation to just sign up for that pod channel? Get those mock-ups created. Like, what's that process going to look like? But you have to start. That's always the biggest hurdle.
Yeah. I mean, we talk to a lot of people in the print on demand game or industry, or people that want to start, people who are confused about something. And, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to figure out the solution to the issue that is in front of you, the challenge that is in front of you. And that means a lot of Googling, that means a lot of listening to our back catalog, a lot of questions and answers. That might even mean some private coaching or like a group coaching thing, which I'm planning on starting soon. I keep saying that, but I keep getting closer. I promise it's going to happen. But I mean, that might be something that, motivates you. I know for me, like, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but for me, in my fitness journey in life, I'd get a gym membership and I'd go for a while. But when I took a class, or I had like a buddy that I like got together with and we met at a certain time, I always lasted longer, I guess, like I always went for a longer period of time. And usually what would happen is I'd end up playing a sport and then I'd injure myself and then I'd fall off the wagon, but that's neither here nor there. The point of it is doing it together with other people can keep you motivated, can
For
help
sure.
you. So who is that person for you? Who is that person that's going to push you and help you? Because I mean, the number one thing I hear all the time is like, yeah, I've got all this stuff, but I just don't know what the next step is. And I'm going to call BS on that. You
Yeah.
absolutely know what the next step is. You're just procrastinating. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with procrastinating, but just call it what it is. You're just not
Yeah.
doing it
Be
right
honest with
now.
yourself.
So yeah. And then from there, make a decision. Am I going to do this or not? And it's fine if you don't,
Yeah.
but like you said, if you don't start, you're not going to get anywhere with this thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is the next step for you? What is it? And you just have to figure it out. And then you know what? Go eat that frog
Yep.
and
Yeah.
go do it,
Absolutely. Get started. The worst action is inaction. So don't be inactive. Go out, do something. You know what I mean? Chip away at that thing. Eat the frog. How to eat an elephant one bite at a time. All of those idioms that you've come to know and love and that annoy you because it's basically calling you out on the fact you're procrastinating, but you need to do something. So this is your sign. If you're waiting for a sign that you should just start that thing, this is your sign. Okay. So take it, run with it, and let us know. And if you need help, again, you can reach out to us. We are available to help, to talk to you guys.
Attention hotline fans.
You can reach out to us, printondemancast.com/Facebook. We talk about it all the time. You can join the group, ask questions. Is this a good product? Or if you want to message Travis or I privately and DM us, whatever that looks like. If you have a question that is more numbers based or profit margin, or is this a good money making idea? Whatever that looks like, we are available to chat with you guys. And the best way to do that, printondemancast.com/Facebook is how you can get in touch with us. We're also on Instagram, printondemancast.com/Instagram, and /YouTube is where you can go to find these episodes in video form, or you can listen on Spotify. We're also on video on Spotify as well. If you want to support the show, and put a t-shirt on your back that's made from us, by us, like that one that Travis is wearing right there. Dad jokes, bad puns. What's the bottom say? I forget.
Podcast professionals.
Podcast professionals, because that's what we are. Don't forget, we're your local podcast professionals. Frontendemancast.com/shop is where you can go. It's the best way to support the show if you want to help us kind of reinvest into what we're doing here, because this is a passion project and we do it because we love you guys and we want to bring you the best jokes, entertainment, and information possible. Again, we referenced it before, but you can sign up for our newsletter. printondemancast.com is where you can go to do that. Also find other information about the show as well there on printondemancast.com. But if you sign up for the newsletter, not only do you get potentially the anatomy of a skew that Travis was talking about, but you will get an additional dad joke each and every week. And we all know that's why you guys listen to the show. If we had a minute-to-minute breakdown of the episodes, I feel like it would peak at the dad joke, maybe just tank at the rest of it, and that's okay. We're completely fine with it because dad jokes are pretty much how Travis and I communicate with each other. In fact, when I was in Sweden, I texted you and I said, I keep hearing all the time that dad jokes are like the humor of Sweden. Every tour guide we had made groan-inducing dad jokes. And I told Madeline, you give me another 3 days, I'll be the funniest man in Sweden. Can we extend our trip? So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, all right, man, anything else before we wrap this thing up and hit the trails?
No, I don't think I have anything else. I got to get outside and, get my costume on and get my trick-or-treat bag and start going door to door. I think I'm going to be a podcaster.
Nice.
I don't have to change at all. I'm just going to go ring doors.
You just got to stretch your back and so you can walk and go door to door.
No, I'm not actually going to go trick or treat people. I'm, way too old for that. But yeah, but my kids are, and so I got to go help them.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We look forward to being back with you next week. So until then, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.